October Sky. In the film, Homer is played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and his father John is played by Chris Cooper. Brief summary of the movie. When Sputnik is launched, it inspires a young boy, Homer Hickam Jr., to build a rocket. Overcoming many setbacks, he is able to win the National Science Fair in Indianapolis, and to go on and later in life win scholarships and become a NASA engineer. My personal thoughts on the film, for one, it's one of the best movies I've ever watched. One of my favorites. I really enjoyed the small town boy makes something of himself style to it. It was extremely heartfelt and touching. Towards the end of the movie, the whole town supports Homer and his friends and watches them test the rocket. The town of Colwood was just horrific. They had nothing to be happy about until this rocket. Just to get an idea of what the town was like, think of the Valley of Ashes from The Great Gatsby. At the beginning of the film, someone says, I don't know why they would think about dropping a bomb on this place. It'd be a waste of a bomb. The cinematography was made very dense, especially around the town. Every day in the town, it looked like it was just really cloudy all the time. In a couple of scenes, the lighting was a little too dark, especially in the mines, but that was probably the only criticism I had about the movie. Everything else was great. My favorite thing about the film was the character development. Unlike many movies made, especially in this time period, the women were portrayed in a positive way and had a very important role to the storyline. Two women, Homer's mother and teacher, are very influential throughout the story. Homer's mom encourages Homer to pursue his dream, and even his dad, she encourages him to stop criticizing everything about Homer's life and has many conversations with him about it. Miss Riley, Homer's teacher, supports and helps Homer and his friends all she can, while everyone, in the beginning at least, laughs at them for this crazy idea of building a rocket. It's very emotional at the end. Well, Homer comes home and it almost seems like she's on her deathbed. And, well, as for the end of the story, this is what happens. While Homer is in Indianapolis, someone steals his nozzle for his rocket. He calls home and talks to his mother, who influences and convinces his father to make him another nozzle so he can show people for this National Science Fair. He makes it for him, and his mom runs up the nozzle for him. She comes, brings it to him, and he wins the National Science Fair. When he returns home, he tells his dad that he's going to launch the rocket one last time. And his father, who very unlikable up until this moment, says what he usually says, which is, I have a lot of work to do. Well, ultimately, he shows up right before his son's about to launch his rocket, and Homer was very glad to have him launch it, press the button to launch it, and John accepts it, and this is the first time when John actually shows support and is proud of his son. The historical accuracy of the film, it is based on the book Rocket Boys, which is the real account of actually what happened. While the storyline and major events in the movie are spot on, some minor things were changed in order to reduce the movie to 2 hours long. First off, there are only 4 boys that work on the rocket in the book, or in the movie, but in the book in real life, there were actually 6. Homer's father in real life was actually Homer Hickam Jr. or Sr., but to save confusion throughout the film, they call him John. Miss Riley in the film at the end seems to be deathly ill, but in actuality she dies 12 years later from a disease, which would be in 1969. This took place in 1957. Lastly, while the picturization of Colwood is accurate, the film was actually shot in East Tennessee due to the lack of transportation to get all these props and supplies to Colwood. That was October Sky.